Imagine this scene. You're standing on the edge of a vast, churning sea. Behind you, the ground trembles. The air fills with the thunder of 1,000 chariot wheels and the shouts of an approaching army. You can almost feel the hot breath of the horses, smell the dust kicked up by the soldiers. There's nowhere to run. To your left and right, impassable terrain. In front of you, the deep, dark water. Behind you, an enemy sworn to drag you back into slavery. This was the terrifying reality for the Israelites. After finally escaping centuries of bondage in Egypt, they found themselves trapped. Pinned between Pharaoh's elite army and the Red Sea, panic swept through the crowd. People cried out, their voices filled with despair, turning on their leader, Moses. "Was it because there were no graves in Egypt that you brought us to the desert to die?" they lamented. It's a human reaction, isn't it? When faced with an impossible situation, fear often takes over. But amidst the chaos, Moses stood firm. He wasn't relying on his own strength or military strategy. His eyes were fixed on something greater. He turned to the terrified people and spoke with a confidence that seemed to defy their reality. "Do not be afraid. Stand firm, and you will see the deliverance the Lord will bring you today. The Egyptians you see today, you will never see again. The Lord will fight for you. You need only to be still." These words, spoken in the face of certain doom, must have sounded incredible. Be still, with an army breathing down their necks. But this was a moment that would redefine the meaning of faith. Then, a command came from God to Moses. Not a battle plan, not an escape route through the mountains, but something utterly astounding. God said, "Raise your staff and stretch out your hand over the sea to divide the water so that the Israelites can go through the sea on dry ground." Think about that. Divide the sea. It was a command that went against every law of nature. Yet Moses obeyed. He walked to the edge of the water, the wind whipping his cloak around him, the sound of the approaching army growing louder with every passing second. He lifted his simple wooden staff, the same one he'd used to perform wonders back in Egypt, and stretched it out over the restless waves. And then the miracle began. A mighty east wind started to blow. It wasn't just a strong gust. It was a powerful, relentless force of nature that blew all through the night. The wind howled, pushing against the sea, driving the waters back. Slowly, impossibly, the sea began to part. The water peeled away from the seabed, creating a corridor of dry land right through the middle of the ocean. The people watched in stunned silence as the seabed, once covered by fathoms of water, became a pathway. On their right and on their left, the water stood up like massive, shimmering walls. Imagine walking through that. A wall of water towering over you on both sides, held back by an unseen hand. The path was dry, solid ground. Hesitantly at first, and then, with growing courage, the entire nation of Israel men, women, children, and their livestock began their journey through the sea. They walked on the ocean floor, a path lit by the divine pillar of fire that guided them. It was a silent, awe-inspiring procession between two liquid mountains. As the last of the Israelites stepped onto the far shore, the first light of dawn broke across the horizon. Looking back, they could see the Egyptian army, blinded by their rage and arrogance, not hesitating for a moment. Pharaoh and his commanders saw the path through the sea not as a miracle for the Israelites, but as a trap they could use to their advantage. They charged headlong into the corridor of water, their chariots thundering down the dry seabed in pursuit. The entire Egyptian force, chariots, horsemen, and soldiers, was now in the heart of the sea, right where God wanted them. They were so close to their prey. Victory seemed just moments away. But their pursuit was not as easy as they'd imagined. The wheels of their heavy chariots began to get stuck in the mud. Confusion and chaos erupted within their ranks. "Let's get away from the Israelites," they shouted. The Lord is fighting for them against Egypt, but it was too late. On the other side, safe on the shore, Moses received another command from God. Stretch out your hand over the sea, so that the waters may flow back over the Egyptians and their chariots and horsemen. Once more, Moses raised his staff. The moment his hand extended over the sea, the miracle reversed. The powerful east wind ceased. The invisible force holding back the towering walls of water was released. With a deafening roar, the sea came crashing down. The walls of water collapsed inward, converging with immense force. The entire Egyptian army was engulfed. Chariots were smashed, soldiers were swept away, and the pride of Egypt was annihilated in an instant. The sea returned to its normal state, as if the path had never existed. The mighty army that had terrified a nation just hours before was gone, swallowed by the very sea they had tried to conquer. As the sun rose higher, the Israelites stood on the shoreline, looking out over the now calm Red Sea. The waves washed the wreckage of the Egyptian army onto the shore, a grim but powerful confirmation of their deliverance. The threat was gone. Their enemies were vanquished. They were truly free. The fear and despair that had gripped them just hours before melted away, replaced by an overwhelming sense of awe and gratitude. They hadn't fought a single battle. They had simply been asked to trust and to walk. They had witnessed the raw, untamable power of their God, a power that could command the very oceans. And in that moment, a song erupted from the people. Led by Miriam, Moses' sister, the women took up tambourines and began to dance and sing. It was a spontaneous explosion of praise and worship. They sang of God's triumph, His strength, His unfailing love. I will sing to the Lord, for He is highly exalted. Both horse and driver He is hurled into the sea. This event, the parting of the Red Sea, became the defining story of their nation. It was a permanent reminder that even when trapped, even when all hope seems lost, even when facing an impossible obstacle, faith can make a way where there is no way. It's a story that has echoed through millennia, a testament to the power of divine intervention and the incredible things that can happen when we dare to trust in the face of the impossible. Thanks for watching. If this story inspires you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more incredible stories from history. We'll see you in the next video.